For companies generating under $500 million in revenue, upgrading your reporting infrastructure often starts with a painful check to write. You're asked to pay massive enterprise-level licensing fees for business intelligence software, promising total operational clarity. But almost immediately, a strange behavioral paradox emerges. Despite the expensive software, your decision-makers bypass the sleek new interface entirely, scroll to the bottom of the page, and manually export the data to a CSV file. They do this because executives are held accountable for the math, and generic BI dashboards often act like opaque black boxes. When the stakes are high, leaders require transparent business logic they can trace and verify, rather than a pretty graph that hides its work. This diagram shows the sequence that destroys data reliability, the dashboard death loop. A dashboard generates, but a number looks off. Without visible formulas, executives doubt the logic, exporting to Excel. Soon, departments bring isolated, competing spreadsheets to meetings. The problem is a mismatch in design philosophy. Enterprise BI tools are built to optimize the processing of millions of rows of data, but mid-sized operations don't usually have a data volume problem. They have a context problem. They need systems optimized to clarify the operational why. The primary goal for any data leader in this environment has to be transitioning the team away from manual Excel work and into a unified, trusted system, while simultaneously trimming away the bloated software licenses. And as we move forward, making that transition safely also requires setting strict, non-negotiable boundaries around how AI is used to handle your financial reporting. True return on investment for mid-market business intelligence relies heavily on transparency and context. When a system fails to provide that visible logic, it naturally forces your team right back into the error-prone, manual spreadsheets you paid to escape. The standard enterprise strategy offered to mid-market companies usually involves purchasing broad, per-seat licensing. The pitch relies entirely on the tool's ability to ingest massive, complex data pipelines. The actual outcome is a high monthly overhead cost paired with highly generic dashboards. You get impressive visualizations, but zero local context about how your specific supply chain or sales cycles actually operate. The trade-off here is straightforward. This approach severely drains your IT budget, but it fails to solve the core issue of executive trust. There is an alternative framework designed specifically for mid-market data leaders. It's called the Pivot BI strategy, and it focuses entirely on decision integrity. Decision integrity requires a different set of inputs. Instead of focusing teams on generating endless dashboards, you focus heavily on centralizing your business logic and establishing exact metric definitions across the company. The result is a high accountability reporting environment. The underlying math and the operational why are visibly accessible right alongside the charts, entirely removing the black box effect. The trade-off with decision integrity is time and effort. It demands significant upfront alignment between your departments. Marketing, sales, and finance must sit down and agree on exactly how a metric like net revenue is defined before a single chart is built. But that upfront alignment ultimately reduces your BI licensing costs. Once everyone operates on the exact same logic, you can eliminate duplicate software tools and consolidate the siloed analyst workloads that were keeping the old spreadsheets alive. This comparison matrix illustrates the divide.
Enterprise BI scales volume and drives up cost, while Pivot BI scales trust and secures operational context at the department level. For regional corporations, the ability to explain the reasoning behind the numbers determines whether those numbers are actually used by leadership. Without that clarity, volume-based enterprise licenses turn into expensive software that no one trusts. This focus on context becomes critical when time-poor executives look to automation. The current temptation is to deploy good enough AI agents to fully automate regional financial reporting. Deploying these AI agents results in an immediate increase in report generation speed and decision velocity. Mountains of raw data are formatted in seconds. But the risk attached to that speed is severe. Large language models are prone to hallucinations, and their outputs lack complete mathematical reproducibility. Ask the model the same question twice, and you might get two different bottom lines. A lack of reproducibility destroys decision integrity. If a financial anomaly occurs in an AI-generated report, an auditor cannot look under the hood to verify the model's internal math. Because of this, companies must enforce strict operational data boundaries before they even consider replacing human analysts with AI agents. To secure AI automation, operations teams need this framework, the 5 AI governance guardrails. First, immutable data lineage tracking leaves a permanent audit trail. Second, centralized logic version control ensures AI only pulls from approved formulas. Third, strict role-based access constraints limit what sensitive data the agent interacts with. Fourth, automated anomaly thresholds instantly flag outputs deviating from historical norms. And fifth, mandatory human-in-the-loop validation for all financial outputs before reaching executives. AI can automate the heavy lifting of report generation, but without these 5 guardrails, not automation can lead to unauditable financial errors that are nearly impossible to untangle. Building a true single source of truth is entirely possible for a mid-sized firm, and it does not require an enterprise-level technology budget to achieve it. The prerequisite is operational discipline. You must invest your time and resources into governing your data and defining your metrics before you authorize the purchase of new BI software. Executives will rely on a dashboard when the data lineage is proven and the math is visible. They do not trust a report simply because the visual design has been upgraded. This chart maps dashboard trust against decision velocity, showing how reliable logic impacts operational speed. The optimal state is the top right quadrant, decision integrity. When logic is unquestioned, leaders can act on the numbers without second-guessing them. This makes the Pivot BI framework ideal for budget-conscious SME data leaders and operations executives. It solves the context problem and permanently breaks their team's reliance on manual Excel exports. Conversely, multi-billion-dollar enterprises dealing with massive data ingestion bottlenecks and supported by dedicated engineering teams can safely remain on traditional, volume-based BI models. But for the mid-market, remember the rule for automation. Your operational analysts must remain in control of the reporting until all your business logic is fully governed, visible, and locked down. The speed of your reporting is meaningless if the underlying logic is flawed. By ensuring the why is as automated and accessible as the charts themselves, decision integrity creates a reporting environment that executives actually trust and use long-term.